This is Tommy. 3 years ago, Tommy made what he thought was the best financial decision of his life. He bought his dream car. The seats were perfect. The paint gleamed in the sunlight. The engine purred. For the first few weeks, Tommy couldn't stop smiling. Every time he parked, he looked back at it. Every time someone complimented it, he felt successful. Tommy thought he was winning. What he didn't know was that this car would quietly cost him hundreds of thousands of dollars. Not today, not tomorrow, but over the next 30 years. This isn't just Tommy's story. It's a story that plays out millions of times every year. And by the end of this video, you'll understand why some people become wealthy, while others stay trapped in a cycle of looking wealthy. Tommy wasn't always interested in cars. At 25 years old, he drove an old sedan. It wasn't exciting, it wasn't fast, but it got him where he needed to go. Then something happened. Tommy got promoted. His income jumped. For the first time, he felt like he was moving up in life. He told himself, "I've worked hard. I deserve something nice." At first, Tommy planned to save more. Maybe invest, maybe build an emergency fund. But then he started watching car videos. One video became 10. 10 became 50. Soon, Tommy could tell you the horsepower of cars he couldn't afford. He could describe luxury features he'd never used. And every day, the idea grew stronger. Maybe it was time. Maybe he deserved an upgrade. Saturday morning, Tommy walked into a dealership. He wasn't planning to buy. At least, that's what he told himself. The salesman greeted him with a smile. "Just looking." Tommy nodded. An hour later, he was test driving a car he'd been dreaming about for months. The leather smelled incredible. The screen was bigger than his television. The ride was smoother than anything he'd ever driven. Tommy was hooked. Then came the question, what monthly payment are you comfortable with? Tommy thought for a moment. The salesman wasn't talking about price. He wasn't talking about total cost. He wasn't talking about interest. He was talking about monthly payments. And that's where Tommy made his first mistake. He started thinking like a consumer, not like an investor. Tommy sat across from the finance manager. The numbers were flying across the screen. Interest rates, loan terms, extended warranties, protection packages, gap insurance, maintenance plans. Tommy barely understood half of it. But he wasn't paying attention to the total cost. He was focused on one thing, the monthly payment. $689 a month. The finance manager smiled. That's less than most people spend eating out. Tommy nodded. That didn't sound bad. Less than $700. He could afford that. What Tommy didn't realize was that small monthly payments have a way of hiding very large numbers. 6 years, 72 payments, interest, fees, insurance. The actual cost was much higher than the sticker price, but Tommy wasn't thinking 6 years ahead. He was thinking about driving home today. So he signed. And just like that, Tommy became the owner of his dream car. Or at least that's what he thought, because in reality, the bank owned most of it. The first week felt incredible. Tommy parked far away from everyone else. He wiped fingerprints off the door handles. He took photos. Lots of photos. His social media exploded. Friends commented, "Nice car. You're doing well. Looks expensive." Every notification felt like validation. Tommy felt successful. For the first time in years, people noticed him, and that feeling became addictive. The car wasn't transportation anymore. It was identity. It was status. It was proof. Proof that Tommy was moving up in life. At least that's what he believed. Then the first payment arrived. $689. Tommy winced, still manageable. Then insurance renewed. $211. Then fuel. Then parking fees. Then registration. Then a tire replacement. Then an oil service. Then another unexpected expense. The car kept asking for money. Every month. Again. And again. And again. Tommy began noticing something strange. His raise had disappeared. His paycheck was larger, but somehow he felt poorer. How was that possible? One evening, Tommy met his friend Jake. Jake drove an older car. Nothing fancy. Nothing impressive. But Jake seemed relaxed. Tommy complained. "The car payments are killing me." Jake asked a simple question. "How much are you investing every month?" Tommy laughed. "Investing? After this car payment, nothing." Jake nodded, then said something Tommy would never forget. "The fastest way to stay broke is to increase your lifestyle every time your income increases." Tommy sat quietly, because that's exactly what he had done. The moment he earned more, he spent more. The raise never made him richer. It simply made his expenses larger. A year later, Tommy became curious. How much was the car worth now? He opened a valuation website, typed in the details, clicked search, then stared at the screen. His stomach dropped. The car had lost thousands of dollars. Thousands. While he slept, while he worked, while he drove, the car was quietly becoming less valuable every day. Tommy couldn't believe it. He had spent an entire year making payments, yet the car was worth dramatically less. For the first time, he understood depreciation. The moment most new cars leave the dealership, they begin losing value. Not because they're broken, not because they're bad, simply because they're no longer new. And Tommy realized something painful. He wasn't building wealth. He was financing depreciation.
That night, Tommy had a dream. He found himself standing in a quiet parking lot. Across from him stood another version of himself. Older, calmer, confident. Future Tommy. Future Tommy wasn't wearing designer clothes. He wasn't flashing money. He wasn't driving a supercar. But there was something different about him. Peace. The kind of peace that comes from financial freedom. Future Tommy looked at the car, then looked at Tommy, and asked, "Do you know what that car really cost?" Tommy laughed. "Of course. It cost $40,000. Future Tommy shook his head. "No, it cost much more than that." Tommy frowned. "What do you mean?" Future Tommy smiled, then pointed toward the horizon. And suddenly Tommy saw something shocking. Future Tommy waved his hand. Suddenly, the parking lot disappeared. Tommy found himself standing in front of a giant screen. Numbers began appearing. $689. $689. $689. Month after month. Year after year. The payments stacked higher and higher. Tommy watched as the total climbed. $10,000. $20,000. $30,000. $40,000. $50,000. His eyes widened. Future Tommy spoke. "Most people think expenses only cost what they pay. But that's not true." Tommy frowned. "What do you mean?" Future Tommy pointed at the screen again. The numbers changed. Instead of car payments, the screen now showed investments. The same $689. Every month. Invested. Growing. Compounding. The screen exploded with numbers. $50,000. $100,000. $250,000. $500,000. Tommy couldn't believe it. "What is this?" Future Tommy answered. "Opportunity cost. The most expensive thing you'll never see." The giant screen transformed again. Future Tommy asked, "Tommy, what if every dollar you spend today had a future version?" Tommy looked confused. Future Tommy continued, "Every dollar has two lives. The life it lives today, and the life it could have lived tomorrow." Tommy stared at the screen. A simple coffee appeared. $5. Then another, and another, and another. Suddenly those coffees became thousands of dollars. Then tens of thousands. Then hundreds of thousands. Tommy felt uncomfortable, because for the first time, he understood. The real danger wasn't buying one expensive thing. The real danger was making small decisions repeatedly. Tommy asked, "Then why do some wealthy people drive old cars?" Future Tommy smiled. "Because rich people understand something most people don't." The screen changed again. Two men appeared. Both earned the same salary. Both started with the same opportunities. The first man bought new cars, luxury watches, expensive clothes, the newest phone every year. The second man bought index funds, stocks, businesses, real estate. 10 years later, the difference was shocking. One looked rich. The other actually was rich. Future Tommy said, "Most people spend money to impress strangers. Wealthy people spend money to buy freedom." Tommy stood silent. Because he had spent years chasing appearances, the world changed again. 3 doors appeared. Future Tommy pointed. Behind each door is a different version of your life. Tommy opened the first door. Future one. A luxury car. Luxury apartment. Luxury lifestyle. Massive debt. Little savings. Retirement delayed. Stress everywhere. Tommy saw himself at 60 years old. Still working. Still paying bills. Still trapped. He slowly closed the door. Future 2. Average car. Average spending. Some savings. Some investments. Comfortable. Stable. Not rich. Not poor. A decent life. Tommy nodded. This future wasn't bad. Future 3. The final door opened. Tommy gasped. This version of Tommy wasn't flashy. He drove a reliable car, lived comfortably, but his investments had grown enormously. His time belonged to him. He worked because he wanted to, not because he had to. Future Tommy looked at him and said, "Financial freedom isn't having enough money to buy everything. It's having enough money to choose." Tommy suddenly realized something. The dealership never sold him a car. They sold him a feeling. Success. Status. Recognition. Approval. People rarely buy products. They buy emotions. The car wasn't transportation. The car was validation. And validation is expensive. Future Tommy said, "The world spends billions convincing people they need things they never wanted before." Tommy thought about every advertisement he'd seen, every influencer, every social media post, every comparison, every moment he felt behind. Suddenly it all made sense. Tommy woke up, sweating, heart racing. The dream felt real. Too real. For weeks he couldn't stop thinking about it. Every time he looked at the car, he saw opportunity cost. Every payment reminded him of his future. And eventually, Tommy made a difficult decision. He sold the car. Not because cars are bad, not because enjoying life is wrong, but because his future mattered more. For the first time, Tommy chose wealth over appearances. The money Tommy used to spend on the car started flowing somewhere else. Investments. Savings. Assets. Month after month. Year after year. The progress felt slow. Painfully slow. But unlike the car, these purchases became more valuable over time. Not less. Tommy stopped checking daily. Stopped chasing shortcuts. Stopped looking for overnight success. Instead, he focused on consistency. And consistency changed everything. Years later, Tommy stood in another parking lot, this time beside a modest car. Nothing flashy, nothing impressive. But Tommy smiled, because he understood something his younger self never did. The goal was never to look rich. The goal was to become rich. The goal was never the car. The goal was freedom. Freedom to choose. Freedom to travel. Freedom to spend time with family. Freedom to sleep peacefully. Freedom to say no. Freedom to live life on your own terms. And that's the lesson Tommy wishes someone had taught him years ago. Every dollar you spend today is voting for your future. The question is, are your dollars building a life you want? Or just a lifestyle you want others to see? The choice is yours. Subscribe to Stickman Finance for more Tommy stories about money, investing, and financial freedom.